Hello everyone! It is Friday night, wild and crazy, and we're gonna do some crafting. My apologies to anyone who thought I was going to be on at 4:30. That had been my initial plans, and then the phone rang. And yeah, that was the end of that. Just waiting for this to show up on the iPad so I can see your comments. So we are going to work today with the soon to be released Butterfly Brilliance, which is lovely. Hello, Lynn Scott. Okay, for whatever reason this isn't showing up on my iPad. Ah, there we go. Okay, so now I can see you. Turn it down. Okay, here we are. So this collection is going to be available March the 2nd until May the 3rd. And then, hello Maureen, it will be available in the next catalog, the annual catalog. So the collection, if you were to purchase it in March, so they're calling it a collection, and it's just basically one item number and you would get all of the things, is this beautiful like wood grain paper that is a little bit like, it reminds me of parchment paper kind of. So they call it Natural Touch. So there's a couple of sheets of that. So you get this, you get the stamp set, you get the dies, and you get this amazing 6x6 pack of DSP. So all of that together is called the collection. Of course, you can always just get the bundle. You can get this paper. So the deal is it's being released early, and these two papers are only available until the beginning of May. After that, you'll still be able to get the bundle. It will be at bundle pricing. It'll be in the new catalog, but you will no longer be able to get the papers. So trust me on this. If you want this bundle, you want these papers. So I would buy all this before the end of May. So we are gonna play with it. I've been playing with it. I try not to play with things when you guys can't buy them yet, but I couldn't resist. I'm doing some thank you cards for my upcoming virtual online class, and I wanted to pop these in the as my thank yous. So that is why you are seeing me play with it. And then after this, I'm gonna put it away until everyone can buy it. So you can see it is one giant stamp, okay? So the caveat with one giant stamp is you need to own this giant block. So this block is like the F block or the H block. Let's find it. The other option is the Stamparatus. So you need one or the other, okay? So I hate to add that to the thing, but it is the F block. It is $23, so it's $23 to get this block, okay? Or if you have the Stamparatus, I would suggest you use the Stamparatus. So I made all these butterflies that I have already made using my Stamparatus, but I'm gonna show you with the F block, and we're gonna see if we like the end result that we get. I don't actually need to do any stamping because everything that we need to make our card, I've already prepped so that we could kind of work through this quite quickly. But I will stamp it just so you can see what it's like. I'm also gonna show you the dies because they're fabulous. So if you watched my video the other day, you saw me unpack this, and so you saw me show the dies. So basically it's one giant die that matches our stamp set. So you stamp it, you cut it out, and then you have 6 butterflies. It's amazing. So you could just prep a whole bunch of butterflies and always have them on hand. And then it's got all these other cute little dies. So it's got this cute little butterfly that's very detailed, this tiny little one, another small one, this little bit of a brick, this fun little just texture, and then this, these little dots. So I can't wait to try these, because I'm curious what they look like. Then what you also have is these beautiful dies, which this is one of them. So basically these dies are detailed versions of all of these butterflies. So I've seen some beautiful cards where people have stamped this just in like black or tone on tone, and then they've cut out these beautiful dies and layered it. It looks fabulous. That is not what we're doing today, but just so you know. What I chose to do is I actually stamped on this amazing Saleabration paper, the Oh So Ombre. So it just allowed me to get a whole bunch of different tones to my butterflies, but doing it all in one color. So you can see where I've stamped it here and cut it out. I've kept this because I was thinking you could do some neat sponging using this. It'd be really neat if you were a scrapbooker. I am not, but anyway. So what I did for this card is I used Misty Moonlight and I stamped that on Bermuda Bay. And that is because Misty Moonlight is one of the colors in this fabulous designer series paper. The card that I already made that you would have seen today on my Facebook page or my Instagram or my blog, I stamped Magenta Madness on the Rococo Rose. So on this other side, the Rococo Rose, okay? And then I tied in magenta into the rest of my card. And again, I use Magenta Madness because it's one of the colors on the DSP. So this is what we're doing. We're basically remaking this card in a different color scheme because I wanted to show you some neat things that I did with the butterflies. So like I said, I've already stamped, I've already die cut. You know what that looks like. And then I've done some prep work here. So I'm just gonna run through what I've done. And then at the very end, we will stamp these butterflies so you can sort of see how well it works on this big block. And we can sort of, just, like I said, I did it with the Stamparatus, so I know that that works well because it's easy to get nice, good pressure with the Stamparatus. Okay, so we have 3 of these big butterflies left. We're gonna use these, they're beautiful. And then we have thick, I'm still using Whisper White, but if you were to purchase paper now, you'd be purchasing the basic white. So we have thick white cardstock. And that is our standard cut at 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And I'm actually going to go ahead and get my trimmer and actually score that. I find with the thick paper, for sure, it's nice to have an actual score line. It's good if you're, okay, there we go. So that is scored. And then of course, we're gonna fold that in half. We're still gonna make sure it lines up nicely. Just because we score things doesn't mean we still don't have to line up our edge, okay? And I still like to use my bone folder if I have it handy. Okay, so there's our card base. Then what I have already done, so like I said, we cut the butterflies out of this paper, but I've also used a piece to be our card front. I have already cut this to 4 1/8 by 5.5. And what's that gonna allow us is a tiny little sliver of white on each side, and then it's just going to be flush with the top and the bottom. So we are gonna go ahead and actually put that down. I'm gonna get out my silicone mat so I don't get glue anywhere. So we'll glue that down and then it's out of our way. And the nice thing about, at least for me, leaving a little bit on the edge is then I only have to line it up on 2 edges, right, instead of 4. I want the light ombre going out to our card opening, but of course that's totally your choice. All right, and put that down. Okay, so there's that. Our card is gonna open like that. Okay. What I have also done here, and these have been neglected, and so I'm bringing them back because they came out early. Again, this was something else that got released early, and then it's been in the current mini catalog, is these Curvy dies. So I used them a lot at Christmas. I used this one a lot at Christmas, and I would have shown you that. So I just have used both of these on this card, these curvy dies. So all these do is create an edge for you, and you can put them one of two ways. So they have the cutting edges on this side. So if you place it this direction on your paper, you're gonna get the dots on your DSP. If you cut it this way and have your curve the other way, then you'll get the dots on the other half. And so then you can decide which half you want to use on your project. So I wanted to have the dots, but you can see on this side, I cut it same curve. So in order to get the same curve, one side will have the dots and one side will not. So that's what I've done. And then I've taken this second curvy die that has this beautiful detailing, and I have created the same curve. So what I did when I did this is I put this piece of paper on here so that I could line it up, and then I ran it through the die cut. And this is just gonna give us another extra layer, okay? So you can see we just have to punch out the bits. Hello, Carol! Nice to have you join us. Carol is joining us from Connecticut. So is it cold there? Do you have like a crazy winter like they're having in Texas, or is that just going on down south right now? That is off the charts, I'm telling you. All right, so we're gonna punch these out. So this piece is already the right length. It's already 5.5 because it was a card front that I never used. So I just trimmed it. We are going to have to trim the DSP. So this piece is still 6 inches long. So I am going to, because our card is blue, I'm gonna take all of the extra, hello Chandra, off the bottom. So I want this to be 5.5. I want all of, as much of the blue as I can get. So I'm gonna trim it all off the bottom. And I made sure that that was gonna work when I did my curve. So you can see that's gonna be fine. So I already planned for that. Okay, so we are going to trim this at 5.5, which is fine. We have a nice straight edge there. We're gonna get our trimmer in. That's our scorer. Trim that off, so we don't need that bit. I just eyeballed the thickness here, so I'm not sure. I think it's like a couple 1 3/4 inches, roughly. All right, let's get rid of all these little bits. So now, we still need to trim this. Obviously, it's too big for our card front. So what I did is I want enough of it that you're going to see Bermuda Bay through the holes here. But I don't need it. I don't want it coming out past this. So all I am going to do, I'm just gonna lift this up, and then I want it evenly spaced on this side. So again, I'm just eyeballing this. I'm not measuring anything. I'm just leaving like a little bit of space. And what I'm gonna do is I am just going to put a little mark in this paper, and then I'm gonna cut it, okay? So nothing fancy, no rocket science, no measurements, literally just eyeball, cut, and whatever you want. So we don't need that piece. Now we have this piece. Okay, so this, my friends, is where the magic is gonna start to happen. We don't need that piece, so let's get rid of it. Okay, so these pieces are going to go together like that. So I am just going to take some adhesive and wing it. Ha ha, yeah, right? No pun intended. Ha ha ha. Oh gosh. So we're gonna put a bit of adhesive there, and then I'm going to also put a bit running along the dots, because I know that's where I want those two ends to go together. Okay. The reason I am using the Tombow right now, instead of my seal, is because again, I have that ability to kind of move things around, which you don't really have with the seal. So I want the spacing. I'm just looking at the end of this. I don't know what that is. That like a filigree or something? I'm looking at the end of the hat and how far away it is from my DSP, and trying to make that as even as possible without, you know, getting too off the charts crazy about being picky about it. And then just making sure my edges line up top and bottom. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Gonna apply some pressure there so that those pieces are together. Perfect. Okay. Then I just put this flat on my card front. Okay, so again, there's nothing fancy here. There's no dimensionals. You want, basically, I put it fairly far back, and I think actually when I did it, I had already had these butterflies on there. And then I knew how far to put it based on where the butterfly was, because of course the butterfly, we don't want it coming off the edge of our card. It's not gonna really fit in our envelope. So maybe I'm going to place it sort of roughly like that, which still allows us to stamp our greeting. So I have got the greeting from the A Touch of Ink, which is the Saleabration set. And really the way I chose the greeting is it was really the only one that would fit, because I had basically put this entire card together and then thought, should I have a greeting on there? And then it was like, what still fits? So I'm gonna go about like that. So again, we're just gonna use some adhesive. I really love the effect that you get by using these curvy dies. So I don't know who owns these dies that's on this who's watching right now, but they just add like a really nice, you know, I called it a wave when I wrote it up on my blog today, versus a curve, but it's just like so lovely, especially with the butterflies, especially with anything nature like flowers or anything. It's just kind of nice to have that soft edge instead of like a, you know, hard and fast straight line, or so I thought. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to show you the little trick that I did with these butterflies. So I don't know if you can see, but they are raised here, okay? But I don't actually have any dimensionals under them. So what we're going to do is a little bit of folding and then using our bone folder. So you're going to take your butterfly and you're going to take the body, and you're basically going to put your thumbs sort of on either side of the body and fold. So you're going to sort of create a bit of a crease, a valley where the body is. So you can see what I've done there. Then you're going to take your bone folder, kind of like you would take scissors with ribbons, and you're just going to curl the edge of the wing. So see now how the wing has curled nicely? And you're just going to do that on the other side. And so now we have this lovely sort of curved butterfly with this nice ridge in the middle. So this is where you're going to put your adhesive. So you're going to see, we're going to curl them all and we're going to lay them out, and then we're going to go from there. So Carol, you're saying you didn't get the die. You didn't get the dies for the butterfly, or you didn't get the curvy dies? Because I can assure you that neither set of dies, as far as I can tell from what I've used, is hard to use. So again, I've just created that sort of ridge, so you can see that's where the body is. And then you're just going to take your bone folder and you're just going to curve your wing. So the more you curve it, the higher it's going to be. So this is just going to be my warning to you, because it's even, I haven't even actually tried to put this in an envelope. If you curve it too much, sorry, I'm just reaching for an envelope, then we won't be able to slide it in our envelope. So let's take a look. So we're still good here with this one, it's fine, but you're gonna wanna be mindful of that. If you knew you weren't gonna put it in an envelope, you could like really curve it up nice and high. That would be a neat effect. So again, we're gonna do the same thing on this butterfly. You can see I'm just sort of creating that, what's gonna be that flat spot where the body is, and then you're just gonna take your bone folder and we're just gonna curve it. We could even curve those little bits. You could curve the antennae if you wanted to. Okay, so now let's figure out how we want this to go. So if we pop this guy back up in the corner, I basically, what I had done here is, you can see I did this one is dark, these two were light, so I basically separated them. So I kind of want to do the same thing here. I'm going to actually have this big one down in the bottom, and then I'm going to go like that and like that. So of course you can put them on however you like. We also want to be mindful, or I want to be mindful, now that I've flopped them all off, of where this greeting is gonna go. Because on my other card, I basically only had like one spot where it would fit. So if we kind of go like this, and then we're gonna have these wings over sort of like that, and then maybe we'll put this little one over there. Maybe something like that. Okay, love it. Now, what color ink? These butterflies are Misty Moonlight on the Bermuda Bay. You're going to take your glue. You could use glue dots, you could use seal, and all we're gonna do is put glue down the middle. So I didn't use any dimensionals. That might be a bit much. I just used the glue. And then I just placed the butterfly down and just put a bit of pressure in the middle. And it sticks, it's magic. I made that card last night. I haven't had any issues with that butterfly. I've been moving that card around. I've been taking pictures of it. It's been inside, outside, all over the place. So again, we're gonna do this one. We're just gonna put some pressure there where we've put our adhesive. Sorry, I wanted it turned this way, didn't I? Oh, no, I did want it this way. I wanted this one this way. So you can see, even though I'd already applied some pressure, you've got a bit of wiggle room with that glue to kind of move it around. And then this little guy. So I really like this effect with the butterflies. I mean, admittedly, I haven't really tried it. Oh no, I did make one with it flat. I just like that it just kind of, you know, it almost brings them to life a little. And I'm sure we're gonna see lots of people where they put a bunch of embellishments down the middle. You could totally do that, right? I mean, there's gonna be gorgeous ones with coloring with our blends and all sorts of things. And for sure, I will be doing that as well. But I really was I needed to make these cards. I needed to make several of them. So I wanted it to not be too crazy. And then all we're going to do is now take our greeting, which is from, like I said, the Touch of Ink. We're going to take our Pierce mat, because you know that I always pull out my Pierce mat when I'm using a photopolymer. And then we're just going to find a little spot that our greeting fits. And then it's just all about the sequins, my friends. So before we put all those sequins on, let's just do this stamp, because I know that some of you are probably wanting to know or curious about how this stamp is gonna work. So we're gonna bring that back in, but I just wanna do this so that we can see what the effect's gonna be. So if you're joining late, I was mentioning at the beginning, this stamp is one big one. So you have to either purchase the F block or you have to have a Stamparatus. I stamped all of my butterflies with the Stamparatus. So I wanted to see what happens if we stamp it using the big block and how even of an image we get. So again, I'm gonna ink this up using Misty Moonlight. We're gonna make sure we have it all covered. It's not gonna matter if some of this ink comes off on my paper because we're gonna die cut them. So now I'm just going to line this up. And I'm gonna apply some pressure. So when you're using a big block like this, I actually stand up. And I also stand up when I use my Stamparatus for a stamp of this size. Just to ensure you're getting good pressure, you're getting a good impression, especially with this stamp. It's quite detailed, which is why I wanted to try it with the F block to let you guys know how well it works. Because I know that not everyone owns a Stamparatus, but you might really want to have this set. I also know that not everyone owns an F block. I didn't buy one until I started buying those background stamps. So let's take a look. Lovely. We've got a beautiful impression there. So just so you know, you don't need to have the Stamparatus. You can make this big stamp work even with your F block. So you can see how beautiful those are. And look at how beautiful they are on this paper. So if you don't have this paper yet, but you plan to get this stamp, you have until the end of February, right? February 28th is your last chance to choose this paper with a $60 order because it's the Saleabration paper, the Oh So Ombre. Okay, we're gonna put that aside. We're gonna bring this card back in. We're gonna finish it up, and you guys are gonna go off and enjoy the rest of your Friday. So I am using the woven thread sequins. We really only have 2 packs of sequins available to us at the moment, I believe. The woven thread and then the ones that go with the whale. I don't own the ones that go with the whale because I don't have the whale set. And I didn't buy them because they have little seashells in them, and I wasn't sure how I would make those work. So this is our take a pick tool. I just always have mine apart. The reason I have mine apart is because I find when I have these parts together, this kept advancing on me, and so I was wasting so much putty. So I always have them separate. That's just my own thing. Of course, oh, the artistry blooms, yes, but those are already adhesive backed, and they're only that, well, there's 2 sizes, I guess. I like these because there's so many sizes. But yes, thank you, artistry blooms. The only time I attach this is when I need to advance more putty, okay? Just so, in case you're wondering what I got going on there. So now we're just going to put some sequins. So when I use sequins, I always lay them out first and then I glue them on after. Chandra, who is watching, who loves sequins and is very, very talented with her use of sequins, she does this amazing effect of combining sequins with pearls. And it's beautiful. It's really pretty. I think it actually would look nice with this card. It's not the right effect for all of the cards, but I think for this card it would actually look really pretty. But I think that we will stick to just the sequins because I haven't really played around with the idea of using the pearls. I'm just going to get that one out because I know I'm going to want it. So the only sequins I don't really want, I don't want the terracotta ones because to me, especially with this blue card, they would have been okay on the other card, but I think on this blue card, they will be too much. But I'm happy to have the other ones. So we'll get them all out. I won't glue them on. We'll just set them up here so you can see. And then you guys can go on your way. So I am loving this bundle. I'm not sure if you had figured that out yet or not. And I think that you will too. So if you like butterflies, if you have a die cutting machine, you're gonna want to purchase this. And like I said, you're going to want to get it in between March to May so that you can get that this amazing DSP. It's so pretty. Of course, you could wait on the bundle until the new catalog, but if you've got the DSP, you're gonna want the stamps. You're gonna want to be using it, right? And yeah, that is what I know. I don't want another big one. So I like to not necessarily be even, but I kind of, if I'm gonna put 3, I like 1 of each size. And I have it fairly ingrained that I want to always have odds. Almost always. So I did this on the other one. I thought it looked really pretty. So I'm going to do that again. I feel like you guys think this looks pretty too. I'm seeing there are some comments there that it's pretty. So there's how I would have the sequins laid out. And I just think it's really lovely, right? And like you saw this card, I mean, as much as I did the die cutting ahead of time, you can see that it's not super labor intensive. And especially with us using this Oh So Ombre paper to stamp the butterflies, you just kind of get this really lovely effect without stamping on solid cardstock. You could also stamp on like a subtle DSP. So even the back side, see, of this DSP would look beautiful to stamp the butterflies on. And that's the back side of this one. So gorgeous. So there you have it, my friends. And so now all I'm going to do, I'm going to use my fine tip glue pen. You could use this white glue. You could use glue dots. Whatever is your adhesive of choice for attaching your sequins, and I'm going to attach those sequins and we're done. And I just have to make a couple more of these and I'll be all set to put them in the packs for my customers. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a lovely Friday evening and I hope you have a lovely weekend. If you live in Canada and you're not already a demonstrator and you have any questions about this collection, then by all means, let me know. As I mentioned, you can get it starting March the 2nd. You can get it now. If you were to purchase the starter kit, you can add it to your starter kit. But otherwise, March the 2nd is the day. All right. Thanks everyone for joining me. Thank you for your comments. And I'll see you again soon.